Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles, and welcome to my end of year stats. So I'm going to talk about all of the stats that I have from 2024. I'll show you all the graphs both from my spreadsheet and from StoryGraph. So let's get started. So just a brief run through of everything. I read 78 books, 4 of them were rereads, 26 DNFs. I will do a separate video on my DNFs, so look out for that. Altogether, I read 14,905 pages and listened to 438 hours of audio. Definitely less than last year. I think last year I hit 104, but a lot of those were romance novellas. Genre breakdown. I read 4 contemporary fiction, 24 fantasies, 2 historical, 11 mysteries, 3 nonfiction, 30 romance, and 3 sci-fi. That might be the most sci-fi I've read ever, aside from the time that I reread The Hunger Games, to be honest. Not surprised by the romance count, of course, not surprised by the fantasy count either. As far as format, 33 of the books were audio, 30 were ebooks, 5 physically, 5 audio and ebook, and 4 audio and a physical copy. 53 of the books that I read were adult, 2 were middle grade, 2 were new adult, and 16 of them were young adult. For my ratings, I had 1 1-star, 3 2-stars, 4 3-stars, 2 3.25 stars, 8 3.5 stars, 9 3.75 stars, 12 4 stars, 8 4.25 stars, 14 4.5 stars, 8 4.75 stars, and 9 5 stars. Not bad at all. And so that'll be 17 books that I talk about in my best of that were rated either 4.75 or 5 stars. 68 of the books that I read were novels, 2 were a collection of short stories, 5 were novellas, and 3 were manga. 35 of the authors that I read this year were new to me that I read for the first time this year, and then 18 were repeats. So pretty good overall, very colorful graphs altogether. Definitely heavily relying on audio this year. More ebooks than I expected, but I guess that makes sense. A lot of those were also blended reads. My average rating for the year is 4.04, which is lower than last year, but 4 is not bad, so I'll take it. It looks like the platform that I used most for reading in 2024 was Kindle Unlimited. That's not surprising. And both Libro FM and physical books are tied, so that's actually pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Afterwards, we have Libby, books that I digitally own, so ebooks that I'm not borrowing but that I actually have saved on my Kindle. And then Audible is very low. I only had 3 books from Audible, and I am pretty sure I canceled my subscription, although I do still have some audiobooks on there that I've downloaded and not read yet. So those are all of the stats from my spreadsheet. Now I'm going into StoryGraph. So I don't pay attention to the page count on StoryGraph because I track it more accurately in the spreadsheet, because that way I don't have to worry about whether or not the addition on StoryGraph was an audio or a digital or whatever. I just keep track of that on my own. The first book I read this year was The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera, the prequel to They Both Die at the End. And the last book that I read was Love and Other Things by Christina C. Jones. That was the beginning of me tackling her backlist. That is her very first release that came out in 2013. StoryGraph has a mood map. It says lighter books push the line up and darker books pull the line down. I guess it's not bad. I feel like a lot of things that I read tend to be like dark or mysterious or tense, so this looks better than I thought it would. My reading goal for 2024 was 60 books and I read 78, so 130% of my goal. We love that. Of course, what I read the most was romance, quickly followed by fantasy. My longest book was Heir of Navran by Michael J. Sullivan, 943 pages, and then my shortest book was Love Codes, which is a novella for the Cartel Element series, and that was only 95 pages. Average length of books that I tend to read is 360 pages, and I usually spend 8 days with a book. It took me 23 days to read Heir of Navran. Not surprising at all. My most read author was Christina C. Jones, of course, and honestly, I read 10 of her books and 6 of them were just in one series, so there's that. And then underneath her, with 3 books each, Tetsuya Endo, the first 3 volumes of Spy Family, and Michael J. Sullivan, Raira Revelations series. The month where I gave out the highest ratings was February, where my average was a 4.54. That's pretty good. October was my least favorite month. I wonder why that is. If you missed it, it's because I was reading Cozy Mysteries for Black Queen because I wanted to be Investigator Thoreau in Noir Apothecary, which I did. But I gotta let cozies go because they don't work for me, and I keep trying to make fetch happen and it's not working. December, I read the most amount of pages, 3,895 pages. I think that's probably, did I read Arab Novel in that month? Yeah, that's why. The most shelved book that I read in 2024 was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm gonna say that probably has a lot to do with the Netflix adaptation coming out, which I still haven't watched. I personally am not a fan of that book, but that's just me. Least shelved is Love Codes. If you don't read any romance and you haven't read the series yet, definitely would not recommend that you jump in with a novella. And then the highest rated with a 4.61 is King of Ice, the final book in the Cartel Element series. That makes me really happy because her debut came out last year and it was one of my favorites. And then all 3 of her books, well, all 3 of her books in that series have been on my best of list. So she's had a really good year. I love that. That was my year. Not bad. I definitely think that the Cozy Mysteries probably tanked my overall rating. I think it could have been a little higher. Let me know if there are other stats that you keep track of that I don't, that you think maybe I could add. Let me know how your stats looked for last year. Hopefully they were good. Hopefully you had a good average rating because you're reading things that we like and DNFing when we don't. Yeah. But that is all I have for you today. Keep an eye out for my next video. It will probably be my worst and most disappointing. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.